So I thought it was a, late February conference grind, right? And that's a little more like Robert Morris basketball than we've seen, maybe in the last week or so. And so it was good to see that. And, it was something that we really talked about was getting back to, our formula, being able to defend, even though they came out obviously hot. And, our defense wasn't too sharp in the beginning of the game, but I thought in the second half it was really urgent, really sharp. I thought guys really played incredibly hard, and then I thought we were really able to execute offensively down the stretch and shoot 54% in that second half and get some really good opportunities. So a good win for our guys, and talk to them about getting ready for Sunday because it's going to be here before we know it, and we got to keep trying to grind through these games.
Was the slow start? I mean, you guys just seemed like you weren't as vocal in the first half, and like closing out on shooters, your rotations were like you just weren't closing out as well, and that's why they were hot, really. What did you see differently in the second half?
Well, that's what we talked about at halftime. Like Jalen Gibbs goes 4 for 5 from 3 in the first half, and doesn't have to dribble on any of those threes, right? If he's making one off the run or off the bounce, that's a different story. But they were 4 catch and shoots, and one of the things that we talk about all the time is trying to have high hand closeouts and trying to get guys that we identify as high level shooters like he is to get off the line. And obviously in the second half, I thought we did a much better job. They were 6 for 12 from 3 in the first half, and 2 for 7 in the second. So I thought we just did a better job of pressuring those shooters and making them feel a little uncomfortable. Mount runs a lot of motion, a lot of cutting, a lot of activity, a lot of misdirection. And so, like you said, if your talking's not real sharp and you're a step behind, they're going to gain some advantage. And they certainly did that in the beginning of the game. And I thought the zone helped us a little bit as we were able to get to halftime and then make some of the adjustments with the urgency.
How much can Dante help set the tone defensively? It seemed like there were a few times where he was pressured full court and he ended up with 3 steals, I think. So
yeah, it's massive. Like you got to have somebody that can get the energy going. And I think Dante is a tough dude, and he competes like crazy. He's always guarding. Usually the most difficult perimeter guy on the other team, and fights through every screen, gets hit 100 times a game, and just keeps battling. And when he can kind of get going and start to kind of create that energy, I think guys feed off of that. And I thought that certainly helped us tonight.
You guys had a lot of adversity that you faced throughout the game. How did you guys ultimately come together through this adversity to get the come from behind win?
I think we just trying to talk about keeping our focus small and worrying about 4-minute segment at a time, or worrying about a stretch of possessions at a time. And it's all we can control, and obviously you're down 12-4 or whatever we were down, and you just got to battle back. You got to keep playing. You got to keep trying to follow the formula. You can't try and do anything other than that. And I thought our guys did a really nice job of that. And even when we took the lead and kind of held the lead for a large part of the second half, when they came back and tied it, and we didn't flinch. We continued to respond. We continued to get stops. Obviously, John's 3 was a huge one when it was tied up from deep at the end of the shot clock, and then we kind of went from there.
Josh hit big shots all night. He said it was kind of like a do or die, like the rest of the season. Just talk about his urgency, like to score the ball tonight.
Yeah, it's got to be on that level, as we go out here the rest of the year. And I thought he was aggressive, and we could see that in him. We could see that he was looking to create his to be ready on every catch. Something that we talked to him about. As crazy as it sounds, over the last few games, I think he's passed up some shots that we want him to take. And I thought he did a really good job of creating not only 3-point opportunities for himself, but then he created some 2-point opportunities for himself because they were so urgent on those closeouts. And he's got to be in that mindset, from here on out. And then we can actually run some more stuff to, hopefully get him some looks, which we did. And obviously he hit some huge ones.
Was that final play drawn up for him, or was that just kind of in motion?
Well, there were multiple actions to it, but yeah, at the end of the day, it was kind of coming back to him. And he stepped up and hit a huge shot.
I was saying to him, it seems kind of funny. Like it didn't seem like his cleanest look of the game.
No.
Guys in his face.
Well, I think that's the fear that like all coaches have. And that's the fear you have when you see Jalen Gibbs, make a couple early. As soon as the guy sees it go through a couple times, all of a sudden like that rim starts to look bigger. And a couple of threes that Gibbs took in the second half, I'm sitting there going, oh, that's going in. Fortunately they didn't. But Josh is in that same category. He sees that ball go in a couple times, he gets in that rhythm. All of a sudden that rim starts to look bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden some of the harder looks that you get later in the game have a propensity to go in because you've made some good ones earlier.
What's your message to the team now with the quick turnaround, traveling to Fairleigh Dickinson?
Yeah, get our bodies back. We got to get our bodies back. We got to get our minds right. We got to start to prepare. Obviously we'll travel tomorrow. We'll be on the court light, but we got to start to build it up, and then we got to empty the tank on Sunday, and then after that we can kind of reassess. We have some time before we play again, but we got to be able to be the more mentally tougher team on Sunday to fight through 5 games in basically 8-9 days.
I don't know if it's cliche, but you hear coaches say it sometimes, like it's like already playoff basketball. Is that fair to say? Like that's your guys' mentality heading forward?
I think so. I certainly think it is. I think last Saturday's game was certainly a playoff type game. I thought Tuesday was certainly a playoff type atmosphere, even though we didn't show up. And then tonight was the kind of games you're going to see in conference tournaments. And you have to be able to execute your formula offensively and defensively. And I thought after the tough start, I thought we really did a good job of that, and hopefully guys could see that. And I thought we got contributions from so many different guys, right? We had obviously Josh was pretty consistent throughout the game, but as soon as AJ hit the floor, he got a couple quick buckets that gave us some opportunity to kind of catch up and keep pace. Giannis had a little stretch where he got going. Jalen had a stretch where he got going in the second half. Charles had a stretch where he got going in the second half, right? And so all those little 4-point, 5-point surges, accumulate a good win, especially when you're guarding on the second half, guarding as well as we did in the second half.
Through your 10 years here, you've had some big matchups against Mount St. Mary's. A couple conference championship games. Speak a little bit to how this rivalry has, evolved over the years, and how great it is to have a matchup like this.
Well, it was a rivalry before we even got here, right? 13 years ago we came in, and it was maybe 2 years after Jeremy Chappelle had hit a game-winning shot in 2005 or 2006, in the NEC tournament. And so guys were telling us, hey, this is a team that's tough, this is a team that plays hard, this is a team that has good players, they're well coached, and they're a team that we compete with at a high level. And then as soon as we got here, it just kind of magnified. They beat us in 08 in the semis, we beat them in 09 in the championship, we beat them in 10 in the semis, we lost to them in 13 in the semis, 14 in the championship, we beat them in 17 in the quarters. So we've had all these back and forths, great games, great players, and you have two I think well coached, hard playing, aggressive teams. And when you have that, you're going to have a rivalry. And when you have those teams that are always competing for over a decade, that rivalry is going to continue to intensify. And I think that our guys, even some of our new guys, are starting to understand that. This was a really hard fought game. A lot of the guys on our team are still early in their career, sophomores, some freshmen, and so for the next couple of years it will remain, continue to remain strong.
Thank you, Coach.